What we're going to do in this video is get some practice working with one of the most common shapes in mathematics, the quadratic. We're going to think about how to define a quadratic function, how to find the specific points where that function equals 0, and finally, how to identify the entire range of values that satisfy a quadratic inequality. All right, let's think about this together. A quadratic function is a polynomial function whose highest degree of the variable is 2. It is usually written in the standard form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a does not equal 0. Think of quadratic functions as curving functions. Unlike a linear function, which has a constant slope, a quadratic function produces a parabola, meaning its rate of change is constantly changing as you move along the x-axis. As we can see, the graph decreases from the left until it reaches a minimum point, and then it begins to increase, forming the characteristic parabolic shape. This happens when the parabola opens upward, which means the coefficient of x squared is positive. When the coefficient of x squared, or a, is negative, the parabola opens downward. In this case, the graph increases from the left until it reaches its maximum point, after which it begins to decrease, as shown on the graph on the screen. In both cases, the minimum or maximum point of the parabola occurs at the vertex, whose x-coordinate is found by substituting x equals negative b divided by 2a. For the quadratic function y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, substituting this x value into the function gives the corresponding minimum or maximum value of y. We will learn how this formula is derived in a calculus course. Once we have our function, we often transition to an equation by asking, for what values of x is this statement true? Quadratic equations are a bit more interesting because they can have 2, 1, or no real solutions, depending on where the parabola intersects the x-axis. We have several tools in our mathematical toolkit for solving them: the factoring method, the completing the square method, and the quadratic formula, which serves as a reliable method whenever the others are inconvenient or impossible to use. Let's look at them one by one. The first one is factoring method, and this can only be applied if the quadratic equation can be factored, which means whether we can express ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 into x minus t times x minus r equals 0 or not, where t and r are constant numbers. If it indeed can be factored, then we use the zero product rule, which states if a times b equals 0, then either a equals 0 or b equals 0. Therefore, x minus t equals 0 or x minus r equals 0, which leads to x being t or x is r. Let's see this with an example. Here we have an equation x squared minus 4x equals negative 3. Let's try to solve this with factoring method. To solve by factoring method, first we express the equation as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Then we find the two numbers that gives ac when they're multiplied and gives b when they are added. Here, our equation will be x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. So our AC equals 1 times 3, which is 3, and b will be minus 4. The numbers we're looking for are negative 1 and negative 3, where negative 1 times negative 3 equals 3, which is equal to our AC, and negative 1 plus negative 3 equals minus 4, which is our b. Then we express the coefficient b in terms of the two numbers, negative 1 and negative 3. Therefore, our equation will be x squared minus x minus 3x plus 3 equals 0. Then we extract common terms, x in common, x minus 1, minus 3 in common, x minus 1 equals 0. Since x minus 1 is common, we express the equation as x minus 1 times x minus 3, which equals to 0. Since two numbers being multiplied to result 0, then either of the two numbers must be 0, which we've seen in our zero product rule. Therefore, we say x minus 1 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. Then we'll find x equals 1 or x equals 3 for a solution. But if the equation cannot be factored in the form we've seen here, then this method can't be used to find a solution for the equation. Therefore, we use the other methods which we're about to see. The second method is complete the square method, where we express our equation as x plus p the whole square equal to some constant number, where p equals b divided by 2. So that our solution becomes x equals negative p plus or minus square root of that constant number. Here in our example, b is minus 4, and minus 4 divided by 2 is minus 2. When we square minus 2, we find 4, so we add 4 to both sides of the equation. Then we find x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 1. Now, the left side of the equation is a perfect square trinomial. Therefore, we can express it in x minus 2 the whole square. Here, minus 2 is our p, which is found by dividing b by 2. Therefore, our solution will be found as shown, which is similar with the one we got using factoring method earlier. The third method, and the most applicable one, is the general quadratic formula, as shown, which is in fact developed using complete the square method. First, we express our equation as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Then insert each value on the formula, and we'll find the same result as shown. A quadratic equation may have no solution, one solution, or two solutions in real number. This can be determined by checking what we call the discriminant, which is defined as b squared minus 4ac, without the need to solve the equation. If our discriminant is less than 0, then the equation has no solution in real number. If our discriminant is equal to 0, then our equation will have one solution. And if our discriminant is greater than 0, then our equation will have two solutions. Let's see this with examples. Here we have three equations. The first one is x squared plus 4x plus 5 equals 0. When we solve for the discriminant, we'll find negative 4, which is less than 0. Therefore, the equation has no real solution. The second one is x squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0. And its discriminant will be solved as such, and the result is 16, which is greater than 0. Therefore, the equation will have two solutions. And the last one is x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 0, which have a discriminant of 0 when we substitute into the formula. Therefore, the equation will have one solution. When we move to quadratic inequalities, we use something called sign analysis to determine the solution set. We first find the roots of the function, our cut points, as we did for quadratic equation, and then test the intervals in between to see which parabola section is the solution set. Is it the one that lies above or below the x-axis? Let's see this with an example. We take the same equation on our previous example, but made it an inequality one. Here it says x squared minus 4x plus 3 less than 0. As we found on the previous example, the equation can be factorized by using the roots or zeros of the equation, 1 and 3. Therefore, we express the equation as x minus 1 times x minus 3 equals 0. Therefore, we get x equals 1 and x equals 3. Then we construct a sign chart where the roots be the cutting points as shown. When we test x minus 1 on x equals 1, it will be 0. And when we test x minus 3 on x equals 3, it will be 0. And the function will be 0 on both points. Now we test x minus 1 on a point from left of 1. Let's say x equals 0. When we substitute 0 into the equation x minus 1, it will give negative 1. Therefore, it's negative, so we put negative on the chart. Without testing, the function will be positive after 0, since it is a linear function. Similarly, when we test x minus 3 from left side of 3, say x equals 1, it will give negative 2, which is negative. Therefore, we put negative on the left side of 3 and positive on right side. We can check from the right side. Let's take 4, for instance. 4 minus 3 equals 1, so it's indeed positive. Once we find both factors' sign, then we multiply each sign. First, negative times negative, it's positive. In the middle, positive times negative, it's negative. And at last, positive times positive, it's positive. All right, now when we look at the inequality on our example, it says less than 0. Therefore, our solution will be a set of all real number x such that 1 is less than x and x is less than 3. Or in interval form, it will be as such, where the sign chart shows negative. Make sure we choose the correct interval. Since the inequality is strictly less than, the solution must be expressed using an open interval. On the graph, the solution corresponds to the interval where the graph lies below the x-axis, or equivalently, where the values of y are negative, as shown on the screen. With that in mind, let's move on to our next topic and see how we can graph a quadratic function. Plotting quadratic function involves some additional steps, unlike we'd seen on linear function, where finding intercepts were enough. Let's see these steps using an example. Here our function says y equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. The first step is to determine the parabola opening, whether it is an upward opening or downward. Every quadratic graph is a parabola. The question is, does it open upward or downward? To determine this, we simply look at the coefficient of the highest degree term, x squared, which in this case is 1. Since it is positive, the parabola opens upward, just as we saw earlier. If the coefficient were negative, the parabola would open downward. The second step is to determine the axis of symmetry and the vertex, which is the point where the graph changes from decreasing to increasing. To find the axis of symmetry, we first calculate x equals minus b over 2a. This value gives us the axis of symmetry. Once we have it, we substitute it into the quadratic function to find the corresponding y value, which gives us the vertex. In our example, b equals negative 2 and a equals 1, since a quadratic function's standard expression is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. When we calculate the axis of symmetry, we get the value of 1. Therefore, we draw an axis of symmetry at the point x equals 1. Then, when we substitute x equals 1 onto the function, we find the minimum point of the graph. Here, we find y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 8, which results 1 minus 2 minus 8. And finally, y equals minus 9. Therefore, the point 1, negative 9 will be the vertex or minimum point of the graph, so we will mark that point along our axis. After we find the turning point, then we will determine the intercepts. Y-intercept will be when x equals 0, which will be y equals minus 8, as shown. So our y-intercept will be the point 0, minus 8. So we go ahead and mark it on our Cartesian plane. Our x-intercept will be evaluated by making y equals 0. We will have x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. We'll use complete the square method here. Therefore, we add both sides 8, and we get x squared minus 2x equals 8. Then we evaluate b divided by 2 and square it, as we did earlier to make the left side of the equation a perfect square. So we'll have minus 2 divided by 2, resulting negative 1. Then we square minus 1 to have 1 for a result. Hence we add 1 both sides, and our equation will be x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 8 plus 1. Now, x squared minus 2x plus 1 can be expressed as x minus 1 the whole square, where minus 1 is b divided by 2. Therefore, we can solve for x by taking square root both sides, resulting x minus 1 equals plus or minus square root of 9, then x will be 1 plus 3, or 1 minus 3, resulting x equals 4 and x equals minus 2. Our x-intercept will be the 2 points minus 2, 0 and 4, 0. So we will go ahead and plot the intercept points on our Cartesian plane. Then we calculate additional points for reference while sketching our graphs as shown. Then finally, we plot the smooth parabola graph as shown, connecting all the critical points we calculated and mapped on the plane. And here. And just like that, we have the graph of our function y equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. Well, what if our function is an inequality instead of an equation? Let's say our function is y greater than x squared minus 2x minus 8. Graphing an inequality only differs on its additional step, which is shading the region that satisfies the function, meaning we'll do all the step we did on plotting an equation quadratic, and then we shade the region workable for the function. So we can proceed from the previous example. The first step after graphing the quadratic equation will be determining whether the graph will be solid or dashed line, as we've seen on the previous video while graphing a linear inequality function. Here, since the function is stated as strictly greater than, then the graph will be in a dashed line. If it were greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, it would have been a solid graph. The next step is to determine which part to shade. As a simple rule, if it is greater than, then we shade above the parabola, and if it is less than, then we shade below the parabola. But we can take point above the parabola to verify if it indeed works for the function. Let's take the origin as we did on our previous video. Let's insert 0, 0 onto our function and see what happens. When we did, we get 0 greater than 0 square minus 2 times 0 minus 8. Then we get 0 greater than minus 8, which is true. Therefore, the area above the parabola indeed checks out. So we go ahead and shade the above area as shown. Just like that, we plot the graph of the function y greater than x squared minus 2x minus 8. If you need additional examples or further clarification, let me know in the comments, and I'll dedicate a separate video to graphing quadratic functions or any other topic you find challenging. So we have seen quadratic function and its graph, how we use different methods to find the roots of the function so that we evaluate intercepts while trying to plot the function's graph, whether the function is an equation or an inequality. And we're done. Hopefully that makes some sense and gives you a repeatable algorithm for tackling quadratics on your next exam. If you found this walkthrough helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to keep practicing with us here at Rimetric Walkthrough. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.